like it. Thank you, thank you. Little fun fact, that is a 3D scan of me. I was an extra on a TV show, and they 3D scanned me, and they gave me the model, which is exciting, because then I can rig myself and like be 2 places at once. It's great. Let's dive into kind of what we're doing today. Hold on, let me just, cool. So my one big goal for today is I'm gonna take me. We're gonna put myself on the sphere. There's a very secret goal. We're gonna be using Red Giant Geo to somehow get myself on the sphere, the Las Vegas sphere. And you know, it's gonna be a great time. See, we're gonna be taking Red Giant Geo, building procedural textures in After Effects, and then texturing a 3D model. No, this is actually not entirely what we're doing, but this is the silly thing we're starting out to do to kind of introduce Geo. But the whole point is, there's a lot of people, talented people here. We can make it happen. We can get something on the sphere. There has to be a big HDMI port somewhere. It's somewhere in that building. I'm sure we have enough talented people here to find it. So I thought it'd be fun to start out by, let's actually get everyone in this room on the sphere together. You can see the media's offline. We're gonna change that. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna take a video of the entire crowd and we're gonna bring it onto the sphere and we're gonna use that to introduce Geo. So if everyone wants to look towards me, I'm gonna use my phone. Actually, we're gonna do a selfie because that's more fun. So we'll do a video because we can do a video. And we're gonna texture that onto the sphere. So if everyone can look at me, I'm hitting record in 3, 2, 1. Everyone wave to the camera. Rolling. Say hi to the sphere. It's a giant thing, it's huge. Okay, awesome. Someone in someone's hotel room is gonna see that. So I'm now gonna airdrop this to myself. It'll only take a second because I like Apple. My big caveat about Windows, I wish it had AirDrop. Okay, get this file. And let's open up After Effects. Look at that. It's me in the sphere. So After Effects is a very, very fun program. Geo is a 3D plugin within After Effects. It lets you change the textures really, really quickly. So I have this comp here set. It's called Inside Sphere Image. If I double click on this, you see this amazing selfie of me in the green room next to a Clorox wipe. Just an amazing selfie. We're gonna now bring in our video that we just took into our layer. Put it beneath the adjustment layer because I have some holomatrix on it. And that's us. Now we go back to the sphere. Look at that, we're on the sphere together. Amazing. Hold on a minute, it's freaking out. It's okay, I'm not freaking out. Let's make it a little smaller. What's really cool is we can see that we can adjust the texture live in After Effects, and if we hit spacebar, oh no, media offline, no. Inside sphere. We just linked this, how did it happen? Okay, let's really quickly reload the footage. Oh, okay. This is so weird. It found it and then it didn't, but that's okay. Wow, let's just do this again. All right. Well, okay, I will work on this in a second. It like moved itself. Maybe it's on the desktop. Sometimes Mac, anyways, we'll airdrop it again. It disappeared somehow, and I don't know. Maybe they didn't really want us on the sphere. Anyways, we'll come back to this because I think it was really, really fun. But you can see really, really quickly that we did get on the sphere for just a second, and then they quickly kicked us off. File permissions on the sphere are pretty crazy. But seriously, I have been creating tutorials for Red Giant for the past 2 months-ish. I've created this tutorial series called Intergalactic Forms, and I kind of wanted to break that down for you today. It uses Red Giant Geo. Let me show you kind of what we've been making here. Let's go to documents, Blake Rizzo, projects, Red Giant, NAB, video, and then look at this. Here's a little teaser trailer for the tutorials that I made. They're all space themed.
Do you copy over? Running time jump program. Opening the vortex. Start the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All using Red Giant Geo. We're going to be making procedural shaders. But first, I wanted to kind of dive in and kind of expand about let's go into present mode. There we go. Yeah. Kind of what a procedural shader is. A lot of you are very experienced people, but I have a lot of experience teaching in high school, and I like kind of starting from foundations. But CG 101, shaders are like mini computer programs that control how an object surface will look and interact with light. They have a lot of different maps with a lot of different names that if we change these values and these colors, they affect the surface of an object. Is it made of glass? Is it shiny? Is it not shiny? All these different things. Is it glowing? All this and more affects the surface of an object. I made a really quick shader, I call it a shader toy, because we can quickly kind of dial things in and kind of go value one by one to show you what each one does. If you go to Effects Controls in Geo, this is the plugin in After Effects. If I go to Geo, and if I go down to Material 1, which is this sphere, you can see that if I change the base color to red, you can see that the base color on here changes to red as well. Well, let's go down the list. Roughness. Well, if you make something more rough, the highlight kind of disappears. It becomes more matte. A more rough surface like wood doesn't really have a highlight, but let's say you're a shiny television screen. Lots of highlights. If we turn up the metalness, wow, it's more metallic. Looks like an ornament of some sort. If I turn it down, it becomes less metally, more like plastic. But then you can see that on the left here, a white value in the metalness is like really metallic, but then at 0, a black value is completely not metal at all. So you're gonna get used to saying like, okay, 0 is black, 100 is white, or 0 is, well, sometimes it's 0 or 1, depending on whatever your program does. But if we keep on going down, subsurface. Subsurface is like if you ever shine a light through your hand and you see a glowing red surface, that's light going into the surface, bouncing around, and then coming out and glowing. If you're making like a plant or like any sort of surface where something would do that, we'd change the subsurface. Transmission, light is literally allowed to pass through the object. This is like your glass. This is your, all that kind of stuff. Opacity, we can see straight through it. If we switch on an alpha channel, we can see that you've now made a ghost. You can now, I don't know, haunt a haunted house or something. Exactly what you do as a ghost. There's actually, ghosts are trying to find new places to haunt. Houses are pretty mainstream. Okay, we keep on going down. We have emission. I love emission. That's just making stuff glow. You can see that if we make an emission color of green, it kind of overrides the red. Like even though it's a red surface, we're glowing green. So if you're red and ate something that caused it to radiate green, I think you should probably go see a doctor. Anyways, we can also, the next one down is a bump map. Bump maps create the illusion of something having like a bumpy surface. Bump maps are crazy. But what's interesting, if we look really, really closely, I wonder if I can magnify. Let's stop. You can see that each one of these we can connect to a map or an image. It turns out that, if we go back to presentation, boop, different materials have different textures driving each map, and that's what makes the surface look the way it is. This is like kind of a landscape rocky surface. You can see that it's not very rough. If it was more, if let's say it rains, it would be a little bit less rough. It'd be more of a black value of roughness. Well, we're essentially going to be doing like a coloring book today. It's going to start out really gray, and by the end, it's going to be full of life and full of color, and a spaceship that you want to fly around in and have a great time. Eventually, we'll also talk about UVs, but we don't talk about that later. Okay, After Effects. I'm going to create a brand new composition. Call it the spaceship. And then I'm going to make it 1080 because we want to not worry about things burning the computer. I'm going to go to New, Solid. I'm going to call this Geo. So Geo 101, you create a layer. Go away, you're the past. I'm going to quickly go to Effects Presets. And if you scroll down, Red Giant has newly organized all of their plugins into different folders. We're going to go to Red Giant Particles in 3D, which is it's in here. And look at that, Geo's just chilling right there. We're just going to drag it on. It's the sphere, but it's not in the building form. It's different. It's different than this sphere. It's a little more gray. Okay, so I'm now going to get my model and bring in my model, and then we're going to essentially get our spaceship interior. I made the spaceship interior, and I'm going to search up. And what's really fun is that we can search around for everything, and there's a bunch of different models in here, a whole library of stuff that we can use. I have a spaceship cockpit here that we can run. Let's see, it's the most recent one. You can see I love naming my files things that I can identify easily later by, the sphere wow wow versus the sphere yeah. You can tell that the wow wow was the one that works. Let's go to the cockpit. Boom, there's the model. I'm going to quickly scale it up. Go to uniform scale. Then we're going to rotate it. Wrong way. That's if it's going over a bump. Rotate it 90 degrees. Negative 90 degrees. There we go. Scale it up. And then I'm also going to create a camera because, why not? New camera. And then we're going to make it a 35, we'll do 28 millimeter. I like a good wide lens because it feels like you're like first person. Actually, I'm going to double back. Let's switch this to a 21 millimeter Spielberg lens. He likes putting a 21 millimeter right in front of a close-up. Okay, so right now this is a gray and lifeless spaceship. We're going to add some color. This is just like a coloring book. I'm going to hide some of the menu. In Geo, you have 5 different materials that you can use. So essentially, if you have more than 5 objects that need shaders, you need to think of kind of optimized ways of doing shading. Later on, we'll talk about the computer screen. I made the computer screen one material, and I UV mapped the screens to different sides so then I can optimize. I like to think of this like it's like video game logic. You try to think smarter about shaders. Back in the day, they used to make trim sheets that would have every single sprite of a fire animation, and it would just spool through it. So it's fun to think smartly with shaders. The first material, I always like to change the base color just to see what it is. Okay, so the first material is the emission. That's like the trim. I made this glowing trim lighting around the interior of the spaceship. I know I wanted to make that a glowing emission shader, so I'm going to go down to emission color map, and I'm going to set that to a white. Maybe a slight off blue, because we're in sci-fi land and everything is off white. A little bit blue. We can't quite tell. If we want to do it for the screen, we'll make it a little bit more. Okay, keep on going down. I'm going to go to material 2. Let's see what material 2 is. Another thing you'll notice is that Geo uses physically based shaders, as we've been talking about so far. All these different maps we can control. So let's go ahead and see which one this one is. Okay, this is the glass. And for this one, I have, there is a great surface preset. There's custom, brushed aluminum, chrome, Clear glass, that's exactly what we need. How does this happen? Whoa, okay, so it looks pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and change the opacity and turn it down a little bit because I like to see through it. And since we're here, let's go ahead and create a new solid. Make it white. I'm gonna call it stars. And I'm gonna move it to the bottom layer. And then I'm gonna apply CC Starburst. This is like my go-to for making stars. And then if you click on it, this is like the Windows Sleep screensaver, the really classic one. I'm gonna turn the speed down to 0, so it just freezes in frame. It's not moving anymore. I'm then gonna change the scatter, maybe turn down the size, you know, change the phase. You can mess around with this a little bit. Maybe bring up the size a little bit so we, we're for the big screen. Wow, we're in space. Amazing. Didn't even need a real spaceship. Let's keep going down since we're going down here. Material 3. Let's see what's behind door number 3. Okay, door number 3 is the holodesk. The holodesk is this cool circular desk that the hologram projects out of. We're gonna go ahead and start kind of building the material for this holodesk. I'm gonna start out by creating the, I'm gonna start by creating kind of a rocky surface texture for the surface of this holodesk. And to do that, all I gotta do is right click, create a new solid, and I'm gonna call this holodesk. Let's do, because the color is gonna be it's rocky. It's gonna be more bumpy, so I'm going to we're gonna make actually, let's start with a bump map. I think that would be a good one, because we always associate, a rocky surface with having bumps. So let's call this holodesk bump. And then what's cool is now I can now go to, I'm gonna hide this and just put it beneath it. Maybe you also like to change the color because, okay, clearly that's a texture now. Go to Geo. We're gonna go to bump map and set holodesk bump. And that's gonna be now stealing the texture from the layer we just made. And I can now set source, effects, and mask. So what's fun about this, and I'm also gonna set the bump map type from a normal map to a grayscale height map. We could make a normal map, but that's a little more complicated. But now what's really, really cool, I'm gonna go ahead and change the color back to white so we really see what's going on here. If I go to holodesk bump and apply a fractal noise, you can immediately start to see that this texture is essentially being mapped around this holodesk and being applied to the holodesk. So if I start going into the transform, scaling it up, you can see that I can now live edit textures, and now I can start stacking them on top of each other. So what if I want, this is maybe some uneven bumps, but let's say I want another fractal noise, set this to multiply, and then I can now maybe change it to block. It's now blocking, and now we turn up the contrast, turn down the brightness or something, and now you can see there's some vague squarey shapes. I also like doing a find edges. Oh, that's fun. We go to Geo, maybe turn down the bump map weight so it's a little more subtle. And now we have this geometric sci-fi looking thing. If you want to get really, really abstract, maybe we throw on a turbulent displace. I don't know. Oh, it's crazy. We don't know where they found this thing. They found it floating through space. Oh, it's waving. Yeah, I don't know what this is. We'll turn down the vertical displacement. We'll crank it. I don't know. There's lots of fun things. But the other thing is we can now create another layer for let's say the roughness. So maybe it's got some, so let's call this holodesk roughness. And then on another, actually, we'll do universe turbulent noise. We'll do something new because they got a lot of cool presets. If you go to choose a preset, we'll load in some cool presets, and maybe Let's see what would make a good roughness. Now remember, roughness is making things shiny. So let's see a blocky grid. That looks interesting. This is where you go shopping. You're like, what does that do? I'm still down with the blocky grid. That looks kind of fun. And now if we go back to, we're gonna hide this, go to Geo, then we're gonna go to roughness, and then we're gonna get the roughness map we just made, effects and masks. And now look at that. It's got like this weird shape. Let's go ahead and change the scale. Let's just see what happens. Transform, zoom. It's very subtle. Let's go back to Geo here. Maybe turn up the roughness and see. Okay, there we go. And then we're gonna try changing the zoom. Dun, 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 yeah, there we go. Very tiny subsurface bumps. Okay, let's move on because I think the holodesk works now. Maybe we'll make it like dark gray because we're in space and clearly they're not about the whole beach look. We'll go to Geo, make this like a dark gray or something, and ooh, that looks fun. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. What's behind door number 4? Change this. It's always like finding out. Okay, cool. This is the hologram. This is the screen. I really like this one. So I'm gonna make the screen. We're gonna make elements that are gonna get projected onto the screen, and we can like add whatever we want, which is really fun. I know that a screen, because screens are like made of glass. They're shiny. I'm gonna turn down the roughness. So now you see the highlight is now appearing. And we're gonna turn up the metalness. Sometimes I like turn up the metalness. And emission, because every screen kind of glows a little bit, right? We're now gonna create what's gonna go on the screen. So I'm gonna go new, solid, and this is gonna be my screen texture. Bam. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna pre-compose this, which simply means to put a composition within a composition. Right click. Oh my gosh, of course. We're gonna have to speed run this. It crashed. So 1 second here. Get this back up and running. It didn't really want us on the screen. We'll go to continue, and then we're just gonna very quickly speed run this. Dun dun dun, NAB Rizzo. Bam. And we've now run into the first blunder. We should have saved every single step. So what we're gonna do really, really fast is I'm going to show us, let's see, we're about 26 minutes in. Let's just kind of, everyone close their eyes for like 5 seconds. Hold on a minute. We didn't actually get this far. Oh no, how'd this happen? Oh, quiet. None. Material 4, none. All right, so let's see, which one was this one? All right, that's the screen. Oh no, I deleted the TV content. How'd that happen? So we're gonna continue making our screen here for a second. Go to Geo. It was material 4. We are gonna want to, I believe this is the one. Okay, so I'm gonna create a new composition. New, solid, TV, content. And then we're gonna pre-compose this. You ever wonder why it crashes on a pre-compose? That's like a basic thing. I hit OK. And then now, I always like doing this in another composition. I don't know, it's force of habit. If I now hide this, go into my Geo, and then emission color, I'm gonna set this to TV content, comp 1, effects and masks. I'm gonna turn the screen back to being black. And then, now if I go into TV content, let's just like, wait, we forgot to set, make it sure that it says effects and presets. And I always forget, you have to set the emission color to white. And then now, if we start typing, you know, anything in a white font color, the best font to see anything, and we misspell anything, and scale this up, it will now show up on our screen, which is really, really cool. Now this kind of gets me to talking about UVs a little bit. So if we go back to the PowerPoint, whenever we are, you can see that in my composition, the anything is like split across 2 screens. And that is coming because on the left side of this composition is mapping to the left side of the screen, and the right side of the composition is mapping to the right one. So I just kind of did this to kind of guesstimate. But if we go to CG 101 tip, there's this little tip if you're new to CG stuff. On the left is the texture, on the right is the object. A UV simply tells an object how the texture is supposed to wrap around it. We can decide whatever face is mapping to whatever part of the texture we want, and we clearly see what it looks like when it goes wrong. If you've ever played a video game and seen the raw texture of a character, it looks kind of horrifying because the texture of the character has been flattened out, and its arm is over here, its leg is down everywhere, and it kind of all looks a little bit odd. Well, with this, I have the left side of the screen mapped to the left side. So let's go ahead and let's make some cool graphics. I'm gonna go ahead and delete everything. Now, as you've heard from, if you were here for Chad's amazing song, there is a plugin called HUD Elements, and it has a bunch of heads-up display. We'll call this HUD, and I'm going to go to Effects and Presets, search for HUD. We're gonna save, just make sure, force a habit. And now you can see if we can pop on over to here, look at that, we have a heads-up display popping up on our spaceship. It's amazing. And now we need to make some type of UI for our pilot to look at while he's piloting the stars. These blinking markers must mean something, right? We don't really know what they mean, but they must mean something important. I'm gonna go to element 1, and then under transform, I can scale this down and then move it to the left side of my screen. And then I'm actually going to apply another HUD components on this layer. Actually, we're going to create a new solid. It's HUD elements 2, the sequel. Drag this on, save it, choose a preset. This is where we get to go shopping again because there's so many cool presets. I don't know, what should we get? Anyone see anything they like? Sorry, say again? A compass, yeah, we need that. There's north and south in space. There's gravitational pull somewhere. It'll just pull us to the nearest star. Okay, where's the compass? I think we scrolled past it. It's up top. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, perfect for space. They used this in Interstellar. No, they didn't. I hope they did. Position 1, let's make this, we can change the color, which is really cool. Right now it's looking a little dim, and if I want to, I usually add this to everything. I love adding optical glow onto everything because it just looks really, really good. Optical glow, drag it onto the adjustment layer, which adjusts everything beneath it. Change the size, turn down the scale. I'm also gonna put a hollow matrix on before the optical glow, and then I'm gonna save, and then now it'll look like we can go shopping again for a nice hologram effect. Maybe, how good is this spaceship? Is it bad or terrible? Like, maybe we'll make it clean, maybe basic. Maybe it's like the run-of-the-mill model. And then let's turn this off, see what that looks like. Okay, cool. So now, and look at that, it even reflects live, which is very cool. So if I move this around, it will start like moving. So actually, one thing we get out to do is make sure we check animated textures. Animated textures lets all the textures move inside. So now, if we hit the space bar, I'll put this on half resolution so it goes a little quicker. It's very subtly moving. If we had something more dramatic, like, I don't know, a sphere logo that came in from airdrop and didn't show up, we'd see it reflect a little bit more. Anyways, that's kind of a fun thing we can do to kind of adjust this. You can see that the compass is not quite centered. So let's go ahead and kind of adjust this compass, scale it down. The glow is a little bit too spicy right now, so we're gonna have to mix in some water. Maybe up the size. Overall, it's very blue, but Maybe we want to like slightly warm it up a little bit. We can change it to more of a warmer color. I also really like radiate. Radiate looks really cool because it basically kind of glows outwards. Our glow size is really, really big, so you're not going to see it as much. But if we turn this down and turn up the radiate, it kind of projects outwards from the center, and we can change the center of where it shows up, which is kind of fun. Maybe like it's kind of glowing up and out. Yeah, there we go. Cool. That compass is still not center. It's going to slightly bother me. So we're going to hold up the entire presentation just to move with the compass, just as the people who use compasses would have wanted. Yeah, no, it's not. We could put like the Severance, you know, TV stuff on here. I don't know, kind of fun. Okay, cool. What's nice is like, because this isn't a screen, like we're not like overlaying a layer on top of the screen, we still get the shiny reflectiveness on top of the layer. What's also cool is we can also, let's say we want to add like a point light. A point light will make it 100, we'll make it like, I don't know, red because maybe the ship's on fire. And you can see that if I move this around, it will actually reflect on all the screens live, which is very cool. If we want to get this to look a little better, we go down to Geo and there's rendering, and we can turn on multi-level anti-aliasing, and then oversample. And then now it will start to kind of, all the textures will render a lot more smoothly. I usually turn that on at the very end because it's just like, you know, it's a nice thing to add at the end. Bum, bum, bum. And also turn on production best. Anyways, keep it on fast because we want to move fast. Okay, 35 minutes, cool. So let's get to our last, let's just, oops, the spaceship interior textures have deleted. How are we gonna make them? I like to think this is like Apollo 13 and they have to improvise textures as they're like, oh no, the textures got deleted. How are we gonna make them? Well, we're gonna make them with After Effects. So we're gonna see what texture this is. I believe this is, yep. So what's nice is we can kind of create our, you know, spaceship, whatever we want. This is the red edition of the spaceship. I'm going to, mainly, I wanted to make this a spaceship metal because I want, you know, I associate metal with, you know, spaceship metal, which means we're gonna make it, oh, chrome, it's from the future. Turn down the metallic. We're gonna want the metallic all the way up. But if you've seen airbrushed metal, there's slight variations in the surface. So whenever you're messing around with the roughness is kind of the key to surface imperfection. If you want to add like thumbprints or scratches or anything like that, the roughness is like your texture you want to mess around with. In my reel, there is a airplane that pushes off. All these scratches on the airplane, we're all just messing around with the roughness channel. It really helps a lot with creating some realistic looking scratches. Yeah, lots of scratches. Anyways, okay. Keeping on going here. We can also bring textures from the internet, but I'm showing you how to make some. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna create the metal, spaceship metal, new solid, spaceship, metal, roughness. Bam. And for this one, I like applying, we're gonna go to Geo, we're gonna go to the metal, we're gonna go to the roughness, we're gonna plug in the roughness and be like, wow, it's the same thing we've done over and over again. Effects and maps. Let's see here. Okay, cool. So we're now gonna affect, if I add a texture onto this, let's just add something different. Like usually we do something, we've been doing fractal noise for a little bit, but like what if we did something a little different? Let's add something different. Generate, let's do something interesting. Ooh. Let's do texturify. Texturize, universe texturize. Let's see what this happens. Boop. And let's see what we're doing under the hood here. Because if we go, let's make this actually a white solid. So we're gonna switch this to, I'm just gonna quickly fake it and make it tint. swap the colors. Whoa, it's a white solid. How do we do that? There's a bunch of cool textures here. We go choose preset. We're going to, maybe let's do weathered paint. I don't know. Let's just do something different. Do a mask, enable mask, turn that off. So now it's just applied to everything. We've now just ported a texture into After Effects, which is kind of cool. And now, okay, we're going to hide that. And then now, if we go back to Geo, roughness map, now our texture is being applied. But if you look really, really closely, it's like really copy-pasty. It's like really, really dense. So it turns out, if we go to texture settings, we can adjust the UVs in After Effects, which is very, very cool. If I adjust the UV tiling on the X, we can change that. I'm gonna bring it down to more like 10%, and we'll bring the other one down to like, oh wow, now we're really stretching out. 30, 30. And you can see it adds kind of a roughen. This spaceship's been through some stuff, you know, not straight out of the box. We can also offset the texture, and you can start to see how the UVs are set up on the model. You can see kind of where the seams are. There's a seam kind of on the corner of the plane. That's where a texture kind of overlaps itself. And usually you try to hide those seams in areas where the viewer wouldn't be looking. Usually on characters, it's like under the arm. But in other areas like environments, they usually try to put a rock on top of it to hide like a seam, so it's kind of fun. So altogether, we've kind of made a really cool spaceship. We kind of have this together. What's also fun is if we go to environment, we can now affect, there's a bunch of environment maps, so the environment maps are just like things it can reflect, and go choose map, and oh my gosh, there's a nebula, amazing. It's almost like this was a space thing. And we can rotate this. I'm also going to say custom as well. And look at that. We can now rotate. We can even rotate the sun because, you know, we're in space and there's like one star. Hasn't seen the light of day forever. Environment angle, we can adjust this. I like doing it where it's like this because it's kind of stretched out. And it vaguely looks like the Mac background. It's kind of pink. The red is kind of a lot. I'm thinking we kind of got to bring this down. Yeah. Something sleeker. Why has it always got a Batman? I don't know. Anyways, we can affect a lot of things in here. And then now what's really fun is we can start kind of rotating the camera and move it around inside of our cockpit here. Moving this around. Look at that, and the reflections change live, which is really, really fun. Whoa. Dun, 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 dun. It's like every shot in Star Trek is like someone. We can mix this together with all sorts of fun things. But that's kind of essentially kind of how we kind of created our spaceship here. There's all sorts of fun different things we can do inside of Geo. But like if we want to create like a new composition, we can also, we never messed around with it, but if we wanna, I'll show this really quick here. New solid, Geo. And if we go to the opacity map, and if I create just like a new solid real fast, call this clouds. So I'll add a fractal noise. And then I'll apply this to the opacity map. Do that, opacity map. Boop. Now we could say, okay, let's make sure render front face, both faces. And now if we rotate this around, we can actually see that we've made a 3D it has opacity, which is really cool. And if we adjust the brightness and darkness, we can change how much we can see it. So like maybe frost is like, maybe a spaceship is like frosting up or something like that, and you want to keyframe the brightness, and frost is kind of slowly building up or something like that, and now it's been frozen over because you're in space for a long time. That's kind of very exciting things in Geo. There's a lot of fun things to play around. We could have a little bit more time, but I want to leave time for the next presenter. But this has been kind of our presentation on Geo. Thank you so much. You've been a great audience. We got on the sphere very briefly. We'll find out how to get on it again. But thank you so much. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be at the booth later, but thank you. Yeah.